It is truly amazing. But let's move from Nick Saban to one of his former coordinators, Steve Sarkisian, who will lead Texas against Washington in the Sugar Bowl. And this is the Braylon Trice stuff out of Washington. So Braylon Trice is one of Washington's edge rushers. He's really good. He's been angry this week. Like, he does not appreciate the disrespect of the Huskies. They are once again an underdog. They were an underdog in the Pac-12 championship game. That was one of those where it was like, okay, they did beat Oregon the first time. Why are they such a big underdog in this game? And then they come out and beat Oregon again. So I think I'm done underestimating Washington. I just think that when it comes down to it, in a high-scoring game that I think both of us expect to be within a possession, I will take the better quarterback. Like, so you're saying Quinn Ewers is better than Penix? No. Okay. We're all right. I'm just making sure. No, okay. I am taking Washington. Yeah, I am too. What is it, 4.5? 4.5, yeah. I am taking Washington. I think Washington's going to win this game outright. Obviously, there is a scenario where Texas wins. It's very closely held. I think this is going to be a high-scoring and close game. The scenario where Texas wins, I think, is they're getting some good pressure up the middle. Our guy Trevondre Sweat and Byron Murphy coming up the middle and really wrecking things. Because I think if you watch the two Oregon games, Oregon got edge pressure on Penix. And there were some times where he got hurried into throws that he didn't want to make. But there were even more times where he still is throwing darts, even with a guy in his face. So the way he releases the ball, that kind of Phillip Rivers three-quarter-ish kind of arm slot, it jumps off of his hands. He can get it out quick. And so to an extent, you can negate pressure up the middle because you can get the ball out because he doesn't really have to step forward and step into throws, right? He can just kind of get it out there. So I think that's fascinating. For me, I want to know if Washington's going to try to run the ball. I think they should try. I mean, now Oklahoma ran the ball on Texas, but it was Dylan Gabriel helping open it up. Right. It wasn't a classic, run game. And I do think they're better running the ball this year than they were last year. But do they just abandon it, spray the ball out, and do bubble screens to get your 2 or 3 yards? I think you got to try to run with Dylan Johnson. Now, you don't have to try to run into the teeth of the Texas defense. You can try to hit them on the edges a little bit and see what happens. Because they don't have a bona fide edge presence, I think that's, at least in the pass rush, that you would say is particularly good. They're not as scary as something like, and Oregon had very good guys on the edge, but they weren't as good up the middle as Texas is. And that's what, at the end of that last game, Washington was just blasting Oregon up the middle. And I do think Washington's offensive line, we've underrated those guys all season. So I'm very excited to see them against Texas's D-line. And I do think Washington's defense is going to be severely stressed by the amount of playmakers that Texas will throw at them because Xavier Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, JT Sanders. That's the X factor. The second best tight end behind Brock Bowers in the country, and he can just do so many things. I think for me, looking at this game, Washington's defense, I don't think it's like overly good. I think if you take the 8 sides of the ball in this game, that Washington defense is number 8. But it's timely, man. They win high leverage scenarios. Yes. And in that way, they are complementary of their offense. Yep. They're not giving the ball back to their offense so that the offense, like Iowa, can hold the ball for 46 minutes. They're giving the ball back to an offense that they know is going to score. Yeah. And that's the thing if you're Texas is even if you score and then get a stop, like you better score again. Yes. Don't give it back. Yes. Because Washington's not going to stop. Like they may have some frustrating drives, frustrating possessions, but eventually Penix is going to find those guys. Because, Odunze, McMillan, and Polk are just – that's the best trio of receivers in the country. And nobody has 3 DBs. Yeah. Nobody has 3 DBs that can match up. Yeah, and Texas's secondary is good. Those are NFL players back there. But, yeah, I am so excited for this one because I feel like we're going to be sitting there in the middle of the third quarter being like, my face is melting off. Yes, I love this so much. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. You've got 2 play callers in this game, Andy, that – do it as well as anybody. Yeah. And I think they do it in slightly different ways. You've got Sark, who is sort of this NFL, like press the matchup, find the donkey, and then go at him until you stop him. And then you've got Grubb, who is just this kind of mad scientist,
has no tendencies. His only tendency is the lack thereof, and the aggressiveness, right? It's 1st and 10, you go deep, somebody drops it. 2nd and 10, they don't run the ball to get into 3rd and 6.
Right.
They throw it deep again. Like, they are coming at your face all day.
And Kalen Deboer, I'm trying to think, can you recall a situation where you were watching a Kalen Deboer team and you thought, okay, he's doing the wrong thing here.
No, yeah,
he's making the wrong decision here.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I can remember anything. And I'm sure there are situations like that in games they had well in hand. But I feel like even going back to Fresno State, like he is making the correct choice analytically almost every time. And he understands his team very well too.
The only team who's given Penix and Washington like significant problems on defense was Arizona State. And Arizona State, I mean, they came out, put 6 guys across the line of scrimmage and said, figure it out.
Yeah.
And Washington really wasn't over the course of the game. I just don't think Texas is going to do that from a front perspective.
Don't need to.
They'll let their front four go to work.
Yeah.
They'll let their front four go to work and try to defend with 7 that passing game.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. And if this, let's say Sark wins this one, what a full circle moment. Yeah. Against the program where he started as a head coach, where he kind of couldn't get off the plateau. And you wonder, is this guy ever going to figure it out? Is he ever going to get it? And it took, unfortunately, a pretty bad life situation to get him to evolve and emerge as a different coach. But, I mean, if he could do that, take this team to the national title game, it's a pretty big accomplishment because I don't think Texas is an easy job. I know everybody says you got all the resources, you got so many good players. If it were that easy, it would look like Alabama and Georgia. It's not. They would not have had to go through that many coaches. Even Mac Brown, who was an all-time great there, fell off. And then you got Charlie Strong, Tom Herman couldn't get it done. Like, if he can get this done, it's a big accomplishment.
Yeah, you don't see guys win a national championship often that don't do it early, right? If you get your championship, you get it early.
Yeah.
Jimbo got it pretty early. Urban got it pretty early. Obviously, Nick Saban got it pretty early. It's Kirby. Like, you get it early, and that kind of is what you are, and it kind of defines you. But Sark has been able to, in more than just the football sense, get back on the horse and have a renaissance.
Yeah, and I think what they've done, the secret sauce of what Texas has done is they've taken those players, some of whom Tom Herman recruited, and they've turned them into NFL players. What they weren't doing at the tail end of the Mac Brown era, for the Charlie Strong era, and the Tom Herman era, they were not producing NFL players. But take Tavondre Sweat, who was not a huge recruit, not the guy you'd think of as the stereotypical Texas recruit. But they built him into this. And Bo Davis, their defensive line coach, helped build him into this. And if they can do that, plus what they can do in the portal, plus what they can do with NIL, that's when you're talking about multiple cracks at national titles.
Yeah, and there is a notion about the type of player who goes to Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
The type of
entitled.
athlete.
He's been pampered his whole life.
And he goes to Austin because Austin's a place that isn't just about football. Like, I'm talking about as a city.
Yeah.
These guys,
they don't play that way.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, these guys are mean. These guys are nasty. These guys are angry. And you see it. And they are physical.
We had Tavondre Sweat on the show, and I asked him what his favorite bonding time with his teammates was, and he's like, meetings. You and the rest of the D-line, like, what is your favorite thing to do together?
Together? Probably meetings.
Meetings?
Honestly.
Nobody likes meetings.
No, our meetings be pretty fun.
I was like, these are some dogs right here.
And like, I think the biggest thing is this is not a Texas team that they know how to finish.
Yeah.
They have finished. And I know that they clunked a little bit through November, but they have figured out ways to get it over the line, right? Those past Texas teams lose that Iowa State game.
Oh, yeah. And the Kansas State game.
They figure out a way to lose.
Yep.
But they have finished the drill this year in a lot of different ways in a lot of different games.
Well, I am so excited about both of these games. I think this is the best set of matchups we've seen in the 14 playoff era. I'm glad the 14 playoff era is ending because I think the matchups will be better when teams win their way to the Final Four. But man, if it's got to end like this, let's do it. Let's. I don't know. I've got my picks in these. I've picked Alabama and Washington in these two games.
I am also taking Alabama and Washington.
But I have no idea what's going to really happen.
Yeah, I'm excited for
it. I love it. All right. Thank you, Richard. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples on 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On3 Sports YouTube channel.